Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure, is brought to you by TKM Incorporated. This company, located in Moss, Tennessee, specializes in erosion control, hydroseeding, hydromulch, silt fence. They do minor excavation work, and they also provide traffic control and construction signs. Their mission is keeping people safe. Their passion is wishing that all men could be saved. TKM stands for The King's Men. If you'd like to contact The King's Men, you can contact them at 931-243-3958, 931-243-3958, or you may email them at tkminc2001@twlakes.net. That is tkminc2001@twlakes.net. The King's Men, in partnership with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. SJ&L General Contractor is a full construction company that primarily focuses on civil construction and asphalt sales in the Huntsville and Fayetteville regions. Services they provide include, but are not limited to, road construction, asphalt material, underground utilities, site work, and demolition. They employ heavy equipment operators, concrete finishers, pipe layers, and CDL dump truck drivers. If you would like for this company to work for you on your project, or if you'd like to work for them as an employee of this family-owned business, you can contact them at 931-433-4660. That is 931-433-4660, or 3W's and a dot, sjnl.com. That's www.sjnl.com. SJ&L General Contractor is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. Over the years, they send you pictures. Now, as a facilitator on a ropes course, as a guy who owned and operated 2 ropes courses, you spend a lot of time in the air trying to inspire people to go beyond their preset limits. And of the pictures that you think you'd get from being a ropes course instructor for 25 years, I've got one video of me rappelling upside down. I've got a video of me on the giant swing. But I've got more pictures of me standing in the middle of a hula hoop, and more pictures of me standing in a circle of people with a rubber samurai sword. The samurai warm-up. This is a thing I saw Noel Carper do years ago at Berry College. We were working with Georgia Tech, and it was time to warm up the group in the morning. Now, Noel is a consummate ropes course instructor. He's worked at my company. He's worked at Berry. He's worked with Nathan Hicks and Higher Ground USA. We facilitated rock climbing stuff. We've worked with lots of groups. Noel's a martial artist. He's got a black belt in a particular style that's a striking style. And Noel walks out into the middle of this circle, and he's got this large foam sword. And he takes a bandana with a rising sun on it, and he ceremonially folds it, and he ties it around his head. And he announces that we're going to do the samurai warm-up. And what it basically involves is he swings this sword, and you imagine that it's, infinity long. So if it's at the top of your head, you duck it. If it's at your feet, you jump it. And you're supposed to basically be squatting and jumping to warm people up. But Noel takes on this persona of a crazed Japanese samurai. And it's basically Yosemite Sam as a samurai. And it is the most hilarious thing you'll ever see in your life. And that inspired me to add that to my bag of tricks. And so we took it home to our ropes course, and I did it all the time. It's my favorite warm-up thing to do. Wake kids up at camp. I love to do it first thing in the morning with a ropes course group. And then we end up back at Berry College. And there's a lot of us, and we're working with this group of guys from North Georgia. It's a little school in Cobb County. They're Cobb County Greyhounds. And we're working with this football team. We work with the defense in the morning, the offense in the afternoon. We do some low elements. We do some high elements. These kids had T-shirts on that said dedicated. physical, relentless. And so we're doing our morning thing or whatever, and somebody says, "Hey, let's do this samurai warm up." And for whatever reason, Noel enjoyed watching me do it more than he enjoyed doing it. So I get the nod to be the samurai. And I walk out into the middle of this circle of young men, and we explain the rules. And I've got my foam covered wooden boken, and I begin to spin it and do my crazy antics and yelling and screaming, the blood curdling yell of the samurai. And these guys are jumping and ducking and ducking and jumping, and people are laughing so hard they're out of breath. And we finally finish, and it's a fun exercise. And then they start dividing people up. Group A, go with Derek. Group B, go with Noel. Group C, go with Nathan. Group D, go with the samurai. And Derek heard this kid go, "Dude, we're with the samurai." And his buddy said, I don't really think he's a samurai. And his friend responded, "Japanese people are short, man." And so I got to work with these kids under this persona of being a samurai. So the week ends, and we finished this week working with this amazing group of young people, the North Cobb Greyhounds. And the coach comes up to me and Derek and says, "Hey, I'd love for you guys to visit us and come to our home opener. Could you guys do that?" So Derek and he exchange information, and we decide that if we can make it at all possible, we're going to go to North Georgia on a Friday night and watch these kids play ball in their home opener. Well, the time is drawing near, and we've decided our schedule will let us do it. Our wives are going to let us go, and we're going to drive over to Georgia, watch a football game, and then drive back in the wee hours of the morning. And the coach said, "Oh, and by the way, when you guys come over, I want you to do the samurai thing in the middle of the field during their warm-ups." Now, I don't know what the purpose of that would be. It's not going to be a thing that we can debrief. It's not going to be a thing that we use as a talking point in our ropes course. It's just a silly warm-up thing, but somehow it had this epic proportion, legendary stuff going on, and they wanted it to be done. Now, much ado has been made lately over people rushing the field. And I've never rushed a field. But on this occasion, Derek and I are standing under the bleachers at a football stadium in North Georgia, and nobody there knows us except the players on the field and the coaches. And when these guys gather up in a circle on the 50-yard line, we get a signal from the coach, and we come running out from under the bleachers through this tunnel. I grab the top of the fence, and I vault over it, and I'm wearing a samurai sword on my back, and I'm being followed closely by my giant. And the first thought that comes in my mind is, I hope they don't guard this football game with snipers. I roll into the middle of this circle, and the coach yells, "Boys, you know the drill." And I draw this sword from the back of my shirt. I yell my blood-curdling Yosemite Sam, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle samurai cry, and we do this warm-up thing, and the guys are going, "Dude, no way, cool, I can't believe it." And they do this thing, and then when it finishes, Derek and I go around high-fiving and hugging the boys, and we watch them play their home opener. And I don't know what there was about this samurai routine that the coach requested it. It's a silly thing. It's a goofy thing. It's the only time I've ever rushed a football field, and I did it with a samurai sword. I rushed this football field at the request of a coach. And I guess in some way, shape, or form, he wanted us to be inspiring. But I drove to North Georgia, and I ran onto a football field in front of a crowd of people with a samurai sword, not in an attempt to be inspiring, but because I'd spent a week with some young men who were an inspiration. Their idea, their mantra of dedicated, physical, relentless is something that has stuck with me. Their poise, their work ethic. I don't know anything about their football acumen, or they even lost the home opener. But I wasn't impressed with these young men because they could play football. I was impressed with these young men because of the poise they brought to football. Their work ethic and their dedication and their honesty. Their being relentless not relentless with their tenacity for physicality, but relentless in their pursuit of their ideals and their goals. And the guy who was in charge of these kids wasn't necessarily coaching football, he was coaching life. Because if they never win a football game, these young men will be winners of life. And we drove over there not because we were inspiring, but because these men were an inspiration. I remember standing in the North Georgia heat as the sun was going down on the last day, watching some guys complete a high element. And I'm standing beside this kid who's a linebacker, and his name was Logan Slogger. And I told him, I said, look, I said, I grew up in a town of Oxford, Alabama, and our mascot was Yellow Jackets. And in Huntsville, Alabama, we have the Huntsville High Panthers, and we have the Grissom Tigers, and we have the Meridianville Eagles, and we have the Buckhorn Bucks. Now, just to be straight, there's no Lady Bucks, okay? That's a problem. But we were looking at all these mascots, and they have claws, and they have fangs, and they have horns, and they have antlers. But your mascot's a Greyhound. And a Greyhound's a fast dog. I don't get it. And this high school kid turned to me and said, well, Mr. Lonnie, the thing about a Greyhound is it has, in the animal kingdom, per body size, it really has the largest heart of any animal that exists. Now, I don't know if that's verifiable. I don't know if that's true. This is what Logan Slogger believed. And he said, you can't look at me with my muscles or my antlers or my horns or my claws or anything else that I've got until I'm a Greyhound. He said, but you look at my heart. That's what makes me a Greyhound. I'm not a Greyhound because of how fast I am. And I'm not a Greyhound because of how strong I am. But I'm a Greyhound because of my heart. And with a heart like that, you could see why this young man would be dedicated. How he could be physical. And how he could be relentless. And so when you're out there pursuing your passion, and you want to do something so great and so inspiring and so spectacular that people would rush the field, you do that not because of your talent. You do that not because of your strength. You do that not because of your speed. You don't even do that because you win. You do that because of your heart. Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure, is sponsored by us. What? We sponsor ourselves? Is that even legal? Check us out on Amazon. You can have access to the titles of Pedagogue, the youth ministry book by Lonnie Jones, Cognitive Spiritual Development, a Christ-centered approach to spiritual self-esteem, Grappling with Life, Controlling Your Inside Space, a small essay using the principles of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to talk about psychological and emotional self-defense, If I Were a Mouse, a children's book written and illustrated by Lonnie Jones, and then The Selfish Reel, a very short story about a decision. Also, you can check out our YouTube channel to see archived lessons and presentations from across the country, some videos with rope tricks and knots. Don't forget to visit the Facebook page 550 Guys to learn about the little rope men that we make and that we invented and that we make. And then be sure to click like, subscribe, and share. This is Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure.